Welcome to an introduction to Microsoft Teams for Education. This is just going to be a quick video, fairly high level, how to use Teams, how to set up your classrooms, and how to assign and mark work. So there's plenty of other features that Teams has, such as grading rubrics, but I won't cover those in this video. I'll just keep it nice and simple. And if you're looking to get any more resources, then you'll be able to find those on Metro Central. So to start off with, you can see that I've signed into office.com to bring up my 365 page, and I've signed in using my school email address and the password that I use to log into when I'm at school. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with this screen. I can access my emails, for instance, but to get onto Teams, we're going to click the Teams button up here. And when we do that, it's going to launch a new tab into Microsoft Teams. If it's the first time you've been on Teams, it's going to ask if you'd like to download the desktop application, which is what I've got down here, or continue to use the web browser. So generally, the desktop application works a little bit better, but for this video, I'm just going to use the web browser up here. And this will work on any device and on any web browser. So if you're wearing an Apple Mac with Safari, for instance, it'll work exactly the same. We can see on the left hand side I've got my apps, and this is really the main hub. This bar stays the same and it doesn't matter what I'm doing up on Teams. In the same respect, I've got my search bar up here, so if I'm looking for anything across all of my sites and conversations, I can just search for that, similar to the way that I'd maybe search for a particular sort of phrase in Outlook. So I've got my activity bar on the left. So this is everything that's going on in all my teams, in all my channels that I'm being mentioned in or talked about. That will appear down here. I've got my chat box down here. So if I wanted to send a message to someone in Teams, then I could easily do that. You'd only be able to do that to staff, because for students it's turned off. And then the main crux of it, which we're looking at, is really our actual teams. And when we click on this, it's going to display all of our teams, and it's going to pull that from Sims. So you don't need, or you shouldn't need, to join and create a team. You can if you wanted something outside of Sims, but they should all be here with the students pre-populated within them. And in this instance, this is my test site. So I'm just going to do a quick edit on this, and I'm going to call it Year 10 Business Studies. I'm just going to give it a little customization. So we're looking at secondary, and I'm going to give it a picture like that. And then that's going to save those changes. When you first click on the team, there's going to be a button up here which says activate. And by pressing that button, it will then send an email, and the team site will become live, and that will then email all of your students. And I'll show you exactly what they see in just a moment. And so within this team site, contains all of my students, and it's really for the business studies class. So these are my channels on the left. So when you first start the team, you'll have a general channel. You can just keep it and have everything within one channel. Or if you'd like to, using the three dots, you can also add channels as well. Similarly, if you wanted to add students or add other teaching colleagues in, if you perhaps share a class, then you can do that. So in this instance, I've added a project class. So I'll just add in another channel here. I'm just going to call it Year 10 Project 2. So like I say, you don't have to do this. It's just a way of separating out different projects or different components if you wanted to do that, and keeping those chats and those channels separately. But in this instance, we're just going to use the general channel. This is the post section. If we look at the tabs on the top, so in the posts, this is a public forum. So all of the students will be able to see what you post. They'll be able to see what each other posts, and they'll be able to see what you post. So I'm just going to put in here, I'm about to set an assignment. And like I say, this is a good way, normally a good forum for students to ask questions, for instance, discuss work with other students as well. It's a way of them, as opposed to email you and have 5 students email you the same thing and you reply 5 times, just being able to all have that and keep it contained within this team site. We've then got the Files tab. So if I was looking to upload resources, for example, I could do that up here. I can literally just press upload, I can upload files, and we can either link this from our SharePoint, for example, student resources, or in this case, I'm just going to upload this file up here, which it will just do. And it's not going to upload in this case because I've already put one on earlier when I was testing it, but I'll just replace it for now. So there's my resources there, which the students can look at, and they'll be able to view those. They won't be able to edit them. So the other feature, and this is an optional feature, you don't have to activate this if you don't want to, is the class notebook. In the class notebook, if you were to go through the setup process, which is literally a couple of mouse clicks, is composed of 3 main sections. So we've got our collaboration space. So this is essentially similar to the whiteboard in the classroom. Within the collaboration space, you're able to edit any pages. So if I was to make a new page here, for example, and call it project 1. I can then make a discussion and say, what do you think is a good title? Students would be able to see that. Students would be able to respond to that. They'd be able to edit and change any of the work in here. So if I didn't want to change, if I didn't want to allow that, then I would post in the content library section. So the content library section, and there's some very handy sort of explainers which Microsoft pre-populate for you, it's the place where you can share resources and notes which the students will be able to view, but what they won't be able to do is edit. So the example here is, for instance, a lecture note or some course readings and texts, handouts, etc. You could put them in here. Students would be able to view them, but they won't be able to edit it. And lastly, it will give all of your students their own individual section of the notebook, and that's only visible to the student and yourself. So in the exact same way that they have a notebook and the physical classroom, a physical notebook where they keep their notes, they can do that within here. You can then just pop in and see what it is that they've actually been up to. And then we've also got our assignments tab. So this is the most important tab, arguably. This is really what we're looking to do in terms of setting work and giving feedback to work. So at the moment, you might be familiar with using, say, Go for Schools to set and mark work. And you'll notice that when you set the work, there's no way for students to actually return it, for instance, whereas here there is. So you see I've got one assignment, which I've set already, and I can click on this. When I click on it, all the people in my class will be displayed, and I'll be able to see who's viewed it, who's turned it in, and who's not turned it in. And I can then also provide feedback as well, and I'll come on to that in just a second. If ever I'm unsure of anything, I can always just press the student view. So the student view tells me or shows me exactly what the students see. But in this instance, I'm going to set another assignment. And to do that, I'm going to press the create button. And there's 2 different options here. I can either use the quiz and make a Microsoft form. That would be, for instance, if I wanted to do a multiple choice one. So I'll just do that one quickly. So I can either make this or pre-populate it, and I'll send that to the students. So it's going to be called types of companies. I'm going to say please complete. In terms of points, that's more of a grading rubrics thing, and like I say, I won't come onto that in this quick overview. I can either assign it to all students, or I can take students on or off the assignment. So in this case, it's going to go out to everyone. I'm going to set a due date and a time due. Now, when you set an assignment, it's automatically going to allow late submissions. So to stop that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a hard cap as a closure on it. In terms of at the top, I can either schedule to assign this in future. So that's quite handy if I wanted to set, for instance, several pieces of work in one go. I can say, actually, I don't want students to see this until Monday at 9 a.m. I don't want them, and it has to be due by Friday next week at 11 p.m. Let me just check those dates. That should be fine. There. And then the close date, I'll put that so no students are able to submit after Friday the 29th of May. And we'll say that's done. and I can then schedule that in the future, so I know that on Monday morning that piece of work is going to be released to the class. If I just wanted to simply set assignments to be due now, I can press the assignment button. So this can literally just be something as simple as actually setting text, for example. So in this instance, I'm going to ask people to say, please tell me about public limited companies. And Blue Peter style for my description. Here's one I made earlier. So if I wanted to, I can also add resources, and we can either upload those from our OneDrive, from our notebook, for instance. In this case, I'm just going to upload it from my local PC. And this will send it to the students as part of the assignment. I'm going to say there's 100 points available for this, and it's going to go out to all students, which we know, and it's going to be due next Friday. Once I press that assign mark, we're going to see it's going to appear in the posts section. So it's going to pop up here. All students are going to be able to see it. And if students don't see it, then it's going to email them to let them know that they've got an assignment due. So if we just toggle over to the student perspective quickly, we can see that when the team's been activated, they've got an email letting them know, and they can click through and it's going to take them straight into Microsoft Teams. So similarly, they'll have the option to get the Teams app, but in this instance, we're just going to use the web app. And once this loads up, we'll be able to see exactly what it is that the students see and how it works from their perspective. Okay, so here I am. You can see they've got far fewer apps on the left bar, so they're not able to chat to each other, for instance, but they've got their same tabs up here that you've got as a teacher. This is the public forum, so I can say about set assignment, I can react to that, I can say thanks. And again, it's just a conversation that anyone can view. The latest thing will just drop down to the bottom straight away. So I'm going to have a look. I can see the files that myself as a teacher set earlier. I can also go and check out the notebook and make my own notes in there, for example. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is actually hand in my assignment. So I'm going to see, okay, I've got one assignment here due. Tell me about public limited companies. That's the assignment. To hand it in as a student, I'm just going to add my work. I'm going to upload a file from my computer that I've done, business homework. And then I'm going to hand it in. And that's all done. So let's take a look and go back to the staff view. I can go under my assignments. And I can see that we've got one here, 1 out of 1 has turned that work in. It's test user, they've turned the work in. So let's go to market. I can simply click on there. It's going to take me straight in and see what they've done. I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to provide some feedback via Word document. That's been that. So I'm going to say that's good. I'm just going to pop a little comment in here. Good work. Expanded this section further. And that's now commented and saved. So when I return that piece of work, it's going to be in there for the student to see. Now, I don't have to do that. I could actually just put some feedback here in the text box, and then I'm going to return that work back to the student. If I wanted to, I can also export all of my feedback and all of my grades into Excel. And similarly, what we'll start to see as more students mark work and as more grades start to come in, we'll be able to see that actually that piece of work's been turned in, that piece of work's been returned. Oh, this is the one from earlier. We can click on that and we can see exactly everything that's going on. And it's really as simple as that. There's a little bit more to it, but that's like I say, a really basic overview. There's lots of resources which will be available to help you out with this. But if you do get any problems, please just contact us at the RT Help Desk. Email helpdesk@enrich-learning.org, or you can also give us a phone call. So we have engineers available from Monday to Friday, 8 till 6 on 01603 964 914. Please just give us a shout if you need any help or anything like that. We're really more than happy to help out. But yeah, have a play with it, see how you get on, and good luck.